First of all, don't forget that if you have some ideas of your own for future WGTU videos, either a topic or a game you'd like me to discuss, you can leave a comment on YouTube, contact me on Twitter, or send me an email. It's really cool we can build this series together, so feel free to share your thoughts. And with that said, let's dive in. Last time, we talked about the importance of gameplay for creating empathy towards the on-screen avatars, and I focused on how choosing the right game mechanics can help players identify with the characters and stay immersed in your world. In particular, we discussed how cleverly mixing different gameplays can portray a multifaceted hero without ever pulling us out of the fiction. But of course, another key aspect of any convincing story is how well it is told and how the narration drags you into the world. A good narration is, well, by definition, what you need to make a good story. However, once again, each medium can give its own subtle touch to how the authors pass on the story to the public. Books are good for letting the reader's imagination run free and weave a scene from your descriptions. Radio series are great for quickly creating an atmosphere. Movies can use the power of images and sounds to instantly catapult the viewer in the fiction, and video games, even though they are similar to films in many ways, have, as we know, one more thing: they require you to interact with the artwork. This has two immediate consequences. One, this is the only medium that cannot keep running through its narration if the spectator isn't here, since you are actively contributing to the progression through the story. And two, it can adapt to your choices and allow for more diversity from one player to another. Of course, these two properties are fundamental to many games, from the side-scrollers that follow your character and therefore await your input to move around, to the more recent artworks based solely on this interaction principle. Having the player actively progress in the story is usually essential. And all games require decisions from the player to some extent. These are to me the two fundamental properties of interactive dramas or QTE-based adventure games, which are about the most famous video game genres for primarily telling a story. In particular, these mechanics are at the heart of David Cage's productions like Detroit: Become Human. Detroit: Become Human is a 2018 adventure game developed by quanticdream that takes place in a futuristic Detroit where androids have become common goods and are used by everyone in their everyday lives. The plot follows three of them: Kara, Connor, and Marcus, and it describes how the rise of sentient artificial intelligence transforms the whole city. Following quanticdream's long tradition of interactive drama games, like Heavy Rain in 2010 or Beyond Two Souls 3 years later, Detroit: Become Human is an adventure game where you alternate between gameplay phases with your current character in the third-person view, during which you examine a place and discover secrets or clues, and cutscenes filled with QuickTime events or dialogue decisions. One of the big selling points of the game is, of course, its branching storyline, that lets you decide quite a lot about the personality of the heroes you play, even if some people did point out lots of choices eventually lead to pretty similar scenarios, and I do agree that the narratives are sparkling with sci-fi clichés. Still, the game has an enjoyable plot, quite delightful characters, impressive graphics, an amazing voice acting, and pretty realistic animations thanks to the technique of motion capture. All of these technical elements contribute to the realism of the game, and push it just that much deeper in the world of movies. And to me, that's where we get a really interesting idea: the clever mix of cinema tropes and video game opportunities. The fact that you yourself have a say in what a character becomes obviously makes you that closer to them. And the fact that you have those seamless transitions from gameplay to interactive cutscenes constantly keeps you on your toes. You hardly ever put the controller down, since even during the cinematized parts, you are often asked to still react and do some QTE at one point. In other words, interactive dramas like Detroit Become Human take from both worlds to give us a fun and grandiose story, a la Hollywood, while keeping the connection to the avatars in the foreground with these ever-present touches of interaction. Some choices are somewhat secondary and hardly impact the overall narration. Others, on the other hand, are critical to how the rest of the character's arc will evolve. Lots of decisions can be done at your own pace without any time constraint, but plenty of others will require you to make your choice in just a few seconds, which further emphasizes those action-packed scenes. Gameplay phases let you roam somewhat freely in the given scene, but cutscenes decide on the timing, the camera angle, and the possible actions. So, despite being objectively simple, Detroit Become Human's gameplay perfectly fits and highlights its true strength, the story and its characters. It is not there to overshadow or even hide an unfinished plot, like I sometimes feel blockbusters movies try to do with their action. Rather, the investigations, the cuties, and the dialogue decisions are the foundations to conveying these compelling stories and having us relate to our avatars. And that's why, to me, Detroit Become Human, even if it offers a cliché and exaggerated vision of AI, is still a great example of using game storytelling to make movie-like story and characters more relatable. And please tell me in the comments, how come you can already start breaking down Connor's sanity after 1 second of gameplay without having ever heard of the software instability issue? Next time, we'll keep discussing empathy in video games and we'll talk about identification through customization, or how RPGs and their character creation and evolution screens allow us to propel ourselves in a fantasy through our hero and ensure engagement via this player-to-avatar empathy. In the meantime, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and share it if you did, to subscribe to the channel and to turn on the notifications to not miss the next one. And of course, if you have any other idea of games that tell us something without us noticing, go ahead and tell us in the comments. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for the rest of this series.